What's up everybody, Sam Smyers here. Today I want to show you make some of the sounds from Dolla's Girls. Let me give you a preview of what I'm going to make today. Those are all the sounds. I have the drums. I extracted them from Dolla, these drums. So I didn't remake the drums, but everything else in the track, let me go ahead and just solo everything. I remade, and I have this Kickstart 2 on there to create that pumping effect when for the drums, just so that all these things are kind of like pumping as if they're sidechained. Now let me just start off with the Rave Stab that happens. That's this thing. Now when I heard this stab sound, it sounded like the delay was only in the right speaker. And what I did is I just put on this echo. I have it on a half note delay and then just panned it to the right. And this is just the clean signal. And then I added on a very, very light plate reverb to the sound. Now for this Rave Stab, I don't know which one he used, but it sounded like this one that originated from Rave Generator. And Rave Generator was this plugin that had a lot of these like Rave Stabs in it. But for a lot of recent versions of Mac or just operating systems or Ableton, I don't know what it is, but Rave Generator doesn't really work anymore. So what I did is I made a free Rave sample pack from all those samples in Rave Generator. So you can just use those samples without having to use the plugin Rave Generator. And the sample that I used is this one called Black Riot. And this comes from my free Rave Stabs sample pack, which you can find on my website. And that just sounds like this. By itself. I'll solo it by itself. I'll turn on the compressor so it's a bit louder. You can hear some of that low end, and that's why I cut off the low end with this EQ, and then I have on the delay and reverb. Now throughout the track, it also sounds like he adds in a layer behind it. I don't know what that layer was. It sounded like a saw wave, like a super saw wave layer that was playing something similar to what the stab was, but that's what I have. I don't know if those are the exact notes, and I don't know what he used, but just these two things together. Kind of like throughout this track, he like brings those in. And for that, I just have on this EQ, and in Serum, let's go ahead and check out Serum. I have this envelope, one shaped like this, a oscillator A, I have it up +1 octave just because of the MIDI. The unison is down to 7, detunes at 0.10. I turned down the width a little bit just to make it a bit more centered, a bit more mono, and then I have on some reverb. And that's really it for this saw layer. And now let's get into what the bass is. Just on the upbeat is the bass, a G note. I believe the whole song was in G minor. And this is have this voicing on to mono because it's a bass sound. The envelope is shaped like this. I think I maybe added some release envelope to giving this a curve. Bit of a slow, kind of slowed down this attack a bit. And I signed this envelope to the cutoff on this MG Low 24 filter. You can see I've got the resonance up and the drive up. And then I have a saw wave and a square wave, randomness down, and I adjusted the phase on this square wave. This one is -2 octave, and this one is -1 octave, so it's an octave above this square wave by itself without the filter. Then I've got on some compression and this soft clip with the post filter, and that's it for that bass. Then you've got this like acid bass sound or acid lead, whatever you want to call it. And throughout the track, he plays around with this cutoff, and I just have it assigned to my macro knob because I need to take on the drive, otherwise it'll clip this. So he adjusts this cutoff. kind of raises it up throughout the track, but just for this section, I don't have it automated or anything. So you can always automate that cutoff. And if I just raise up this cutoff, like, you can see it starts to distort up here, and that's why I have also this macro knob assigned to the drive, so they can take down the drive and not distort. And let's put that back to, I think it was around here. You can see it's also taking down the drive on there. And this envelope is, maybe I added in a bit of release, and then I've got this envelope 2, which is assigned to this cutoff again, and that's a modulation of 13. Drives up pretty far, and resonance is up to 85. And this is just a saw wave, -2 octave, just because of the MIDI. I have this EQ on a low cut because I don't think I can really hear any of the low end. I just hear, like, without the low cut, you have the bass, but I've got that bass here on the upbeat. So that's why I put in that low cut for this acid bass lead. Now the final thing is going to be the main lead, which, oh, let me show you the MIDI for the acid bass real quick. And that is the MIDI for that acid bass. Now for the main lead, here's the MIDI for the main lead. And he changes up that melody throughout the track, but that's just kind of one of the sections that is what it sounds like in the track. And that's just going to be a sine wave. I have these other things turned on because I made a preset out of it, but it's just going to be this sine wave. Kind of softened this attack a bit by slowing it down, got a bit of release. Voicing's on mono, but that kind of bendiness is created by this portamento time turned up to 67. And then I don't have it on always, which means I have to overlap some of the MIDI notes where I want it to slide or glide. These two notes I didn't want it to glide, so I don't overlap these notes. Bump, 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 those two notes. And then it sounded a bit wide to me. And what I did is I just added on this hyperdimension and added on this dimension with the size at like 1%. Because without it, and you probably need like good speakers or headphones to listen to this to hear what I'm talking about. Gives it a bit of like a wider chorusy feel. And all these presets, as well as this Ableton file, I will put into my Patreon. So if you do want to grab these presets and also this Ableton file with the MIDI, then you can check it out on my Patreon. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a like, and also please subscribe to my channel if you are not yet subscribed. And if you'd like to check out any of my Serum preset packs, head on over to store.samsmyers.com.